Welcome to the American Made and Paid Show, the home of free speech and independent thought.
The big story is freedom of speech is really in trouble. The far left knows that at any time they can call for a sponsor boycott of anyone they despise.
It is right here, right now, where you'll get your weekly dose of unfiltered truth.
It's non-negotiable. Pre-existing conditions will be protected. This president has said this as a candidate.
Insight.
Very few people I know could have handled it. We can never, ever let this happen to another president again.
And information that challenges the American way of life.
Welcome, everybody, to the American Made and Paid Show. I have an exciting announcement for everybody. We are officially, this is the 100th episode. This is episode number 100 of American Made and Paid. Isn't that crazy? We've been doing this, 6 months? Try to be as consistent as possible. And I know we're still kind of ghetto in our setup, but it's going to get better. It's going to get more sophisticated. But this is, yeah, you can hear the baby crying already.
Yeah, no, don't worry. They're leaving.
This is awesome, man. I can't believe we're 100 episodes. And we've done this 100 times, 100-hour-long episodes. It's pretty incredible. I didn't think that we would have enough to ramble about, but surely whenever we talk, there's no shortage of that. So I'm always excited. So thank you for being an awesome co-host. And let's...
Cool. That's actually pretty cool, the baby, you know. Hey,
Yeah.
100.
No, that's pretty amazing.
No, but anyway, so that's
real-
actually, I thought we were still in the 80s.
No, this is episode number 100 as of this recording. So
Wow.
congratulations, and
That's
you know
actually
what?
pretty good.
For those of you who have stuck through us through all the ramblings and the I don't like the way you guys talk. I like that some people like the show. I mean, some people hate it, but I don't care. I mean, this is a Christian, political, business, whatever comes to mind, politically incorrect talk show. So, you know, it is what it is. But let's jump into the topic at hand. Something that a very kind listener of ours sent in was Amber Guyger. Amber Guyger, which was this Dallas police officer who actually shot her unarmed black neighbor for mistaking him. And we've talked about cops mistaking other people and shooting them before. But the big takeaway here was the forgiveness aspect of I believe it was the individual's brother. Is that correct? Did you catch that?
Shoot. For the 100th episode, it sucks because you froze for a good...
I said Amber Guyger, you know, about the forgiveness aspect.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I didn't hear I know you said something about the forgiveness aspect, but my gut, seriously, when I heard it, I was mad. I was like, man, because here's the thing. There is no way. Because this is not something police deal with on the line of duty. So what she did wasn't, you know, this is, because I'm right now, I'm a little flustered, you know, because this gets my goat really, really bad. Like, this is really horrific.
Yeah.
Just to put it lightly. But this has nothing to do with her being a police officer.
Right.
This has nothing to do with it. She wasn't on duty. You know, she was literally going home. She was actually in her complex. She walked into another person's apartment and shot him to death.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, you know, oh, hey, this, you know, you open your door.
But real quick, let's dive into it more. But I want to interject and say that this relates to what we talked about yesterday, which is like, it's okay I'm glad that the brother forgives her, but she still has a penalty, right? A consequence for her actions. I know yesterday we talked about the whole cause and effect thing. You still have to do that, but go on your tirade, because I know you.
Yeah, we'll see. But that's the thing. It's like, okay, so no, but we're talking about the forgiveness aspect. But the thing is, she was a regular citizen who made a massive
mistake. She screwed up, that's for sure.
Well, and my thing is, just looking at it from a professional aspect, I do not believe she mistaken her apartment for his apartment.
I don't think so either. How does that happen?
Yeah, she's not retarded. She's not, she is a trained quote unquote professional. Although, as we said earlier, cops are undereducated.
We've said that so many times. Arm the firefighters. They don't freak out.
No, but it's the truth. And because of that, we honestly don't know what she's going through. She might have killed somebody or hurt somebody pretty bad, and she's suffering from PTSD. That's legitimate. And because of their low education, I will allow that. But my initial reaction, I was pissed. I was like, oh man, how can she only get 10 years? That's insane. It's like, she should have got the death penalty or something, like in my mind.
That's your justice system. I know this is good that we're talking about it because you know what? I think she should have gotten more.
Action was that was my initial reaction.
I agree. I think, 25 to life would have been a more appropriate sentence.
Yeah, but the Christian side of me said something total, like, because that's the thing. My gut told me this and that. And then after I calmed down, I was like, crap, we don't, like, prisons are bad. This isn't how you deal with things. Like, this whole system is just, I don't want to say the system is corrupt, but the whole system, how we dole out justice is just wrong. It's just not how we deal with people. Should she be in jail?
I mean,
if it was up to me, no.
Consequence, yeah. I mean,
but if it was up to me, I would make these types of consequences. Like, if I was like the mayor, I would get rid of the jails and say, look, for all our prisoners who go through the justice system, they're gonna, owe us a debt, and they're gonna do things for our society. I don't care what the heck it is, whether they're gonna be, training people or doing some kind of servitude work, maybe she has to go work with retarded kids or something and wipe their, change their
Well,
diaper.
that's what I'm saying. Community service, or just it might have to be a lifetime of servitude, right? That type of thing,
or something.
Or
something.
What I mean? Because prison is not
the right to make money and earn a living. So, do we make her a slave? Basically, that's what servitude is. But
not a slave.
How do we know somebody's honestly repented? So, but that's the thing. It's
Can I just say, I'm glad. Can I just real quickly say, I'm happy to hear about your. Nah, dude. Now that you're a Christian, it's great. I don't want to say that there, but that's because this is awesome. The old you would have been like, dude, you'd be shot, killed, jailed, that kind of thing. But I'm conflicted too, because I will say, like, I have a legalistic justice type brain as well. And I do agree. I agree that I don't think that the best thing is 25 to life, right? Because this here's the thing. And the brother of the person who was shot forgave her. And I know it's like, if anybody has some grounding for that, it's got to be the guy's own brother, right? Not even.
Yeah. Well, see, but they're under persecution. See, because. Yeah. Well, and this is the thing. And like before, because I don't really want to jump into the Christianity part because it really is deep. Like, the Christian part could probably take 2 hours, but I want to get into the ghetto aspect first.
Yes, always. Because, guys, as all you know on this show, we give you the street view, the conservative view, and then the right view. Yeah.
And the thing is, if you look at it from the ghetto's perspective, like, my initial reaction, I wanted to, like, serious. I mean, I don't know why, but for whatever reasons, I just wanted to beat the, crap out of this lady. Just like
good restraint there.
Yeah, lay boot on her. Just and because there was a time I was not beyond beating up a woman. I wouldn't. I would not care if it was a guy or girl. I would treat you equally and lay boot on anybody. And it's just how it works. Like that, I was, like, as an example, the time I was telling you about when we got 32 counts of attempted murder.
That's really crazy. Every time you bring that up, I'm like, man, that's
this is even crazier. So my boy was handcuffed, right? He was already handcuffed. And then the girl who this centered around, obviously, all of these things always happen because of some chick. But the girl who was the center of this.
No, I'm sorry. That's funny. It's true. Guys will kill each other over women. Anyways, that's the only
like
part.
Great battles have always happened because of women. Like the first war, kind of like in the Bible, anyway, but I don't want to get into that. But the woman who this was about, she came running up to my boy and he goes, he's the one that started, and starts hitting him, right? Just hitting him, and the cops are doing nothing. So my boy, who was handcuffed, literally kicked her in the head. And just boom, and she hit the floor, and then the cops threw him on the floor, and I think that's how he broke his back, because they broke his spine during the fight. But I think it happened when, after he kicked the girl, his foot was still up, and when he got slammed to the floor, that's the force, his back just snapped, and I think that's how he broke his back. But anyway, that mentality is strong with every non-Christian person on the, because you hate to say things like this, but there is no Christianity. Like, people just don't believe in Christianity because why? We have that mentality that if something's bad in our life, it's God's fault. It's God's fault when something's good. It's God's fault when something's bad. And that's why, like, when you see those football players praying, and I want to give all the glory to God, no, they're doing it wrong. But that's also another tangent. But on that belief system, or that fact of the streets, that's how it is. Think about it. Why do we riot? We riot because we have nothing else to do. What else can a crazy person do? And I'll say this. Before I was a Christian, I could honestly look back and say I was like a mentally ill person. Without Christ, you are literally mentally ill. So if you're a mentally ill person, and
lost
I'm admitting
is a better word to say it. I like to say lost.
Yeah, but lost people, when your GPS breaks, you're lost. But seriously, without Christ,
spiritually lost.
Yeah, no, but you really are mentally ill. And this, I'm going to prove this fact right now. So what does a crazy person do to themselves? They engage themselves in self. Boom, exactly. And that's why we riot. When something like this happens, like, seriously, after the whole, I want to kick this lady's ass, I was like, well, fuck it, let's just riot instead. That was my second default. My first default was kick her in the head. My second one was let's riot.
And
why? Because what else can we do? There is nothing else that we can do except hurt ourselves, because we have no justice. A mentally ill person wants to hurt themselves. And that's why we riot. The community, I don't want to say just black communities, because I saw a bunch of Mexicans looting the stores too. The Korean stores in LA.
LA riots in the 90s. Yeah, but you touch on something that's incredibly important with the response that happens to something like this, which is the immediate thing is, if it's not justice for her, it's let's break some stuff in the streets. And it's breaking the things of people who weren't even responsible for that. That's always the unfortunate, hilarious thing is it's like, I just like, how when people say I'm so angry, I just need to punch something, I just need to break something, and then they literally, if they don't take it out on themselves, they take it out on other people.
Well, see, that's the first response, and then the second response would be to hurt yourself. And when you riot, you are rioting in your own house, in your own neighborhood. You're hurting yourself. By hurting those businesses, you hurt yourself, but that's what mentally ill people do. That's what life is.
That's extraordinary. I've never thought of it that way.
Yeah, because what else are you going to do?
Yeah.
What else
thought of it that way. That's interesting.
You can't hurt other people because you're going to go to jail.
So what? Okay, so
but if you hurt yourself, Nobody cares.
So you talk about the street thing to do, right? Which is what people normally do. Now, what's the right thing to do?
Okay, well, see, that's my so that after that,
I like that you go through this process of like, what's the no?
well,
It's
'cause you
good.
gotta
It's
catch
commendable.
yourself. So I'm sitting there. So first, reaction, kicker. Second one, call our, start rioting, throw bricks and stuff like that into windows. And then, but after that, I was like, okay, you know what? What would Jesus do? What would Jesus want us to do? What, if this happened to him, what would happen? So you have to think logically, and the honest to goodness truth is we have to find it. We got to love her. We have to love this person, because if you love yourself, you're not going to hurt, you're not going to kick somebody in the head and put yourself in jail, taking me away from, my baby and my family. You know what I mean? That's what violence does. When you act on violence, you're hurting not just yourself, but your own family. So what am I going to do? You have to forgive. You have to forgive this person. But when you forgive somebody, how do you teach this person how to act correctly? How to take away her own violence?
How do you get her to repent, right, without forcing her?
Yeah, man, and that's
the real question. Because corrective institutions, correctional facilities do anything but. They turn you into more violent people.
Yes, exactly.
That's it.
No, but so that's what happens. Our system right now turns us, Christian type people, into more violent anti-Christians. That's what the system does. This system has been taken over successfully by the progressives, who are either atheists or the devil's workers. Like, they literally work for the devil. Like, they had to have made a deal with the devil to say, you know what? I will get all of this success, all those temptations that I'm imagining Jesus went through. The progressives accepted it in exchange for all this power and to reign over our society. It has to
this
be
guy as a Christian, but think about how much restraint, or I should say faith, he has anchored to be able to.
Yeah, but he's breaking down. He's breaking it down. His faith is being tested right now.
It is,
because again, so let's get, I want to, this is like the second phase of the thing. Now that we know we have to forgive, how do you forgive? This atheist group, and your listener was the one that tipped us off on this lawsuit. But some atheist group, it's literally the group is called the Freedom from Religious, whatever it is. But basically, an atheist group is now trying to get the judge disbarred, basically, because you have to be a lawyer to be a judge. So if you get disbarred or disciplined, she could lose her judgeship. But here's the thing: I don't know if I'm still on the fence. Did this lady do the right thing? I don't know, because I don't know enough about the New Testament to understand if she did the right thing or not. But according to the lawsuit, she gave the Amber lady already.
Yeah.
She gave Amber a Bible. And then she told her exactly where to start reading in the Bible, and was giving her all of these passages to, help her understand what she did, and just a lot of stuff. I was reading it and I was like, very interesting. But the only thing I didn't agree with was she should have just started off with the first and second commandment and go with Romans. You know what I mean? Because I honestly believe Romans is so important that.
Well, the whole aspect of also overcome evil with good is also needs to be understood. And I think that's a hard thing to swallow. I mean, here's the thing, man. Part of me can't blame the guy if he acted improperly. I can't blame him for acting.
It's a black lady. The judge is a black woman.
Uh-huh.
So the judge is a black woman, and the brother's black, and the officer's white. So nobody in the right mind is going to say, oh, they're racist. No, it was tried by a black woman, you know, and the family was black, and if they could forgive. But here's the thing. So now that this atheist group is saying all of these things, how this woman acted improperly, and she said in her own defense, she came out with a statement yesterday that said, hey, look, I cannot refuse this woman a hug, you know, because she also gave her a hug.
Yeah.
And I couldn't refuse her a hug. And their argument is that they're proselytizing. And I'm thinking, no, actually, that's not. Because the trial already ended. The sentencing already ended. So now she's on her unofficial duties. She didn't take off her robe, but
yeah, giving the hug, and I can't believe people are
over. It's already over. See, because their legal argument is this. See, there's a legal argument. When you're acting in official capacity, you cannot talk or you can't be evangelical while you're making your decisions. You have to make your decisions based on the law.
The law, yeah.
Which is
and even the Bible tells us to do that. Recognized in a court of law, actually.
Yes. So
because we were ruled by the judges for a long time.
That I don't know, but
if you read,
guessing that's what the Bible said. And so you're verifying my guess. So I'm going to take it as truth now because I don't know the Bible. I'm trusting you on this. But here's the thing. And this is the legal, like, it's a First Amendment claim. And it's been argued many, many times that a person in authority cannot use their government capacity to endorse or I don't, what's that word? Evangelicalize? They call it.
Well, yeah, you can't.
It's proselytizing.
But religious freedom is part of that First Amendment right. Now, if it comes, I feel like where the atheists are coming from, it's like you can't mix government and God, right?
Yeah,
but that First Amendment is uniform with religious freedom.
Well, yeah, but what it means in practical terms is that the government cannot stop any person or organization from their religious practices. That's all that means. So the government itself cannot be a, Baptist, like I can't say, like the city of San Francisco can never be a Baptist city. You know what I mean? Like no government entity can ever say.
Yeah.
No, but it's the truth. That's the thing. The government cannot do that. And why? Because it's gonna, lead to religious, persecution eventually. Because what if the city of San Francisco is a Baptist city ran by Baptists? What if these Baptists got it wrong? What if they ignore Roman and then they're like, because I don't even know what that's called, but like you were explaining to me. It's like you're my teacher. So, but you're the one that actually told me about, you don't go to heaven based on your works. You know what I mean? And so many Christians believe that.
Yeah.
And I'm, like these mega churches, these,
it's all works based. It's not.
Yeah.
They have it wrong. They have it wrong.
Yeah, no, but that's my point. So the majority of Christians, whether they're Catholic, whether they're Jehovah's Witnesses, I don't think so, but almost everybody else, like a lot of these Christians believe that you go to heaven based on good works. That's a major problem. And because of that, that's what leads to atheists becoming atheists, because they believe bad works leads to punishment from God.
Right.
And that, no, but it's the truth, right? Right?
Yeah.
So because of that, and because look, I believe that. You know what I mean? I believe I was a bad man, therefore I'm going to go to hell. So fuck it, why change? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And why? Because I could never make up for my bad past. Never, because I know what I did. Right. There is no way I could ever, and that's the thing. That's the other part. I know this woman, Amber, can never make up for what she done unless she repents. That's the only thing you can do is accept Jesus. Because look, I'm telling you now, when you're a murderer, there is no way you're a Christian. You don't believe in God. You don't. And if you do believe in God, you don't understand the word of Jesus. You don't. There's something about angry, violent people, which is probably why I always hated fighting. You know what I mean? It was always wrong to me. But, you know, like, remember how we were talking about, like, you know, how I'm anti-UFC and all, because there's something inherently wrong with that. You know what I mean? I know it's a sport and everything else, but, you know, like, just knowing what it is, going through it, there's something wrong. And now I understand it because I never accepted Jesus. And because of that, it allowed me to be bad. But it's the same thing with this Amber lady. It took her to kill somebody
to find out that this was the turning point.
Yeah,
that's a story for a lot of people. That's why it's you know, there's another thing, and again, our listeners are gonna have to bear with me. We're both Christians here, so you know what? This is our show. I'm just gonna say it. But you could say, arguably, that she was dead up until that point that the judge and that brother showed her kindness.
Oh no, I know she was dead.
Yeah,
and
because and that's actually written in the book of Ephesians, right? There's I have it pulled up. Ephesians 2:1 is he made alive who were dead in trespasses and sins, in which you once walked according to the course of the world, according to the prince of power in the air. The Spirit now works in the sons of disobedience, among whom also we all conducted ourselves in the lusts of our flesh, fulfilling the desires of the flesh and of the mind, and were by nature, listen to this, because this is going to resonate with you.
Yeah.
We're by nature children of wrath, just as the others. You see what I'm trying to say? It's written. It's not like none of this stuff is complicated. I tell people all the time, when you say no one broke down Romans to me, I'm like, yeah, because nobody looked it up. Just like the case laws that you do, it's like nobody looked it up.
So let me get into the legal aspect, right? So let's get back on track with legal aspect and how this applies to real law. So because you have to look at it when a judge, whoever the bar is, whatever judges are sitting on or attorneys are sitting on that bar, who's going to look at and review this judge, I think it's a judge reviewing it. They're going to look at it in a two-prong standard. The first one would be, how was her behavior while this was happening? It was fine. The atheist group made no claims that she was inappropriate during the trial.
Sure.
So the second thing would be, was she acting in her official capacity? So I would argue this. Yes, she was technically in her unofficial capacity, not her official capacity. She didn't get a Bible from the court. She didn't have a Bible in her, she didn't have a Texas-made King James Version Bible, bought with county money, right? It wasn't bought and purchased. It was her own personal stash, probably in her own personal workspace, because you are allowed, if you're a government employee, you are allowed a private locker that nobody can get into. You need a warrant to get into my locker, because it's my own personal property. Yeah. No, you just can't walk in just because, like, your employer cannot just walk into your locker.
So here's the deal, right? It's not the government or the courts giving her the Bible. It is the personal property of the judge in an unofficial capacity, one citizen to another, giving her the Bible.
Yes, after everything
was concluded. Got it. Okay, you know what?
I would win. Like, if I was defending the judge, I'd
this goes back to the
heartbeat.
Yeah, you would have destroyed
them. The argument is this: what the atheists are going to, and the attorney for the atheists are going to say is this. Well, she was in her robe, and that's a government official robe.
But the court was adjourned.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so shut up. Court's adjourned, and the judge says so. Oh, what does that mean? I got to take my shoes off? I got to sanctify the ground? That I have to give Miss Amber Guyger a Bible? Like, come on. Like, that's silly. She was wearing the robes. It's like, what if she were in her car in her judge's robes on the way home?
Yeah, but here's the thing. She could easily make this argument. it would be inappropriate for me to disrobe and take off my robe in front of people.
That's
Because
a good one. That's I
because
didn't
it
think of
makes
that.
it
Yeah.
seem like I'm in defiance of
Or
the
contempt
court
of the
or
court, contempt of your own
it's
court.
like, look,
Yeah. No,
you
that's
know,
that's why like these atheists need to just chill out. Like, by the way, like I would have left it at the court's adjourned. She's already been sentenced. No going back from that. It's like it's not like, oh, by the way, it's like no, now it's from one human to another. It's not
and
like
it was, and she went.
I'm not your judge or
far.
jury anymore. This is just from one person to another. Here's a Bible. Here's John 3:16. Like
No, but it was her. I don't even know what this is, but it was her study Bible. It was the King James Bible, right? But she uses it for some kind of study.
Yeah.
And it had writings in it and
whatever.
Like, I don't know, but so I don't even know how these guys even knew it. But that Bible had her,
because knowing atheists, if there's any mention of the Bible or Christianity, they will pounce on it. That is the nature of Christianity in this world, and it's proven right now in that verse that I just read you. Because you once walked according to the course of this world, right? The heir who works in the sons of disobedience. It's Ephesians 2.
I like it.
And the end of it,
disobedience. That's a good name for a band.
But here's the important thing: fulfilling the desires of the flesh of the mind, and were by nature children of wrath, just as the others. Everything that you have said, I'm basically just saying, hey, you're not wrong, because here it is written. It's plain and simple. Everything that we've talked about anger, about wrath and rioting on this episode, it is right here. And that's why I know that we're right about this, because I can show it to you in the King James Bible. Like, we're not pulling this out of our butts. People are like, oh, what are these guys? And it's like, no, it's written right here.
I like it. I like it. I like it so much. The children of disobedience. I'm not kidding you. That's a good name for a punk rock band. It really is. I'm telling everything comes from the Bible. It's insane. It is insane how these things just, I like it though. The spirit that now work, but it's the truth. The spirit, like my soul, dude, when I was one of them kids of disobedience, dude, I was bad. I mean, just bad. And you know what, though? I was glorified for it. All my friends, come on. He kicked a girl right in the head while handcuffed. You know what I mean? He didn't care. Why? Because when you go in, it's like, oh, that's the dude. Because, there was 2 cops involved and 32 other people. It was just me and my boy. I mean, and my other boy, but he doesn't fight unless he has a weapon. So, but he saved our lives. But you know what I mean?
But so that's what I'm trying to say is I'm glad that the judge gave her that Bible and gave her John 16. But you know what? 3:16. But you know what you said that was true? Somebody should have broken down Romans and whatnot. I'm telling her right now, it's like if you had shown her Ephesians 2 and Romans, like what I've shown you and everything, it's not that I think that where she is a good starting point. But this is like context, because for people like you who need like, where does it say? Right here, clear as day, like that first 2 verses, doesn't that explain everything that
and the next 2, 2:4 and 2:5 and 2:6 explain what we need to do after.
Exactly. But see, what I'm trying to say is it's everywhere. If you look into the Bible, it fits perfectly because it's God's perfect law. It's perfect works, which means it's like whether you saw that in Romans or you saw that in Ephesians or whatnot, it's going to show up. There's a solution. There's always like here's what you're dealing with. Here's how to solve it. And this is the best way of going about doing it. And this, even more importantly, this is how you're feeling right now. And I already know. You see what I mean? Because it would be one thing to say, this is what you do when somebody kills another person, you forgive. But even God knows that you are children of wrath. He knows that like you're reasonably angry. And then the next passage is but God, right? So I get it, but here's a solution. I get it, but there's, love and grace and all that. So like I'm inspired by the guy's brother. Now granted, I know a lot of people who are, this is kind of what leads me to my next thing with Kanye West, right? As a Christian.
Wait, before we get with Kanye West, I want to get into how the Black Lives Matter
Oh no!
is now they're going after.
They're gonna chastise the.
Well, no, they're already chastising the brother, and the brother's backtracking. You know, like his forgiveness and all this other stuff. Just a little, but he's cracking. But the judge is holding firm.
The judge is a Christian
black
lady.
Community,
but see, a black judge, black Christian lady, because she's successful.
But it's the truth.
It's the truth.
So the judge is not, you know, she's holding firm and saying she did nothing wrong. And she's taking the backlash from Black Lives Matter and bullshit like that. But then the brother, you know, I believe he's a Christian. That's the type of Christian that is like, you know, like those, you know, like, I don't know what they call it, reward-based Christianity. That's a good word for it, because
well, that's another word for works-based Christianity. Which is flawed.
Yeah, works-based. Works-based Christian. So you know what I mean. So I think he's torn between like real Christianity that you had shown me, and then the works-based Christianity. But in psychology, they call it rewards-based. You know, like positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement. You take something away to get a increase the behavior, or you give somebody something to increase the behavior. And that's crazy. That's a crazy way to be a Christian, because it doesn't work that way. It really doesn't. So, but anyway, so now let's get into Kanye West, because I know we're running out of time.
Well, Kanye is an interesting thing that he's proclaimed his faith as a born-again Christian. He's not going to make secular music anymore. And here's the thing. The first thing I want to preface this is with, Kanye is not somebody that I will outwardly say, oh, he is a Christian or he's not, because no one can really possibly know that. But what I will say is this. People need to understand that Kanye has had a history of flip-flopping. That's all I'm going to say. He's had a history of flip-flopping, because his first album had a really, really great Christian song on it, Jesus Walks. You know, he's been vocal about his belief in God and faith or whatnot. But the same way I look at Kanye West is the same way I look at any other pastor of a megachurch. Do you really know? You're only going to know by their fruit, not by works necessarily, but by their fruit, right? And how he reacts. Because here's the thing. Let's say Kanye switched places with that brother, that Amber Guyger killed her brother, right? Would Kanye have acted the same way? I'll say, I mean, I don't want to be presumptuous here,
but he might, and then he might flip-flop like the brother.
Right. But see, that's the thing. So I know a lot of people are excited about Kanye and everything, but what were you saying?
No, say it again. You froze.
Oh, saying again, I froze. What I was saying was, would Kanye have acted appropriately like the guy did? And the thing is, there's no way to really know. He might have, right? But here's also another thing that we see a lot. Kanye is in a position where, like, when we look at history, music artists, they do this thing where they make secular music for a while, and then they make Christian gospel music to kind of get back on track, and then they go back to secular music. That's all I'm gonna say, because Randy Travis was like that, Alan Jackson was like that, Katy Perry started off as a gospel singer. You know, there's
that's right, I know.
So what I'm trying to say is, guys, like, just because Kanye says he's not making secular music no more, don't get so excited, right? We have to see. You will only know by his conviction in the word and him actually, you know, in his fruit. That's really the simple thing. There's a parable in the Bible about, you know, the tree and the branches, right? And if if it's not rooted in the word of God, it's easy to unearth it because it's just shallow, right? So it's like if say a life-changing moment hits him, is he just gonna, you know, and that's entirely possible. Is he still suffering from mental illness, or has God freed him from that? And part of Kanye's testimony, I would like to think, is being free from all of that and showing, again, like, this is not for me to decide, but even showing a willingness to give all that stuff up, to walk away from all that garbage.
Well,
I have no way of knowing. You see, that's
but here's how you can kind of tell, actually, like, his fruit. If you look at Kim Kardashian, she's not as repulsive as she used to be. Like, she's really changing her life.
She's getting a law degree. We talked about this before.
Yeah, so you know what I mean? But then, and they're actually doing things for other people, which is, you know what I mean? It's like they're still doing like, I honestly don't know much about their show, but I don't see them as much on TMZ as like the younger sister Jenner, Kylie Jenner.
Kylie, yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, and I think her getting out of the limelight might be a testament to, like, there honestly are living more Christian, or maybe.
Well,
you
only know by their fruit. That's the thing. I always say, like, it's not necessarily the works, right? Because nobody knows their heart except for God, but you will know based on the fruit, based on who they expect. And it's,
when they were arguing with the president over, the release of certain people, that was kind of done under the radar. I didn't see Kim Kardashian, because it was Kim Kardashian was the one that actually did it. But then she couldn't get in to see the president. But I don't know why he chose Kanye West, but he did. You know what I mean? So it was like, Kanye West was the one, to do the arguing. So I don't know, like, for the fact that she didn't meet the president directly, I don't know. It's like, why didn't she do it? She allowed her husband to do it.
I also have another thing I want to touch on,
which
with
is
Kanye
weird,
and Kim.
isn't it?
Yeah, but that's weird. But one thing I also want to touch on real quick, back to Amber Guyger and the forgiveness thing. I think the reason why the atheists are all mad about it is that if that kind of behavior spreads, atheism is out of luck. That's how you change people. And they don't want that. That's all I'm going to say. But back to Kim and Kanye.
Well, no, but that's actually a pretty interesting point, because think about it. Can you imagine if, a lot of preachers started preaching what's in Romans and now Ephesians
and the Gospels?
You know what I mean? Because
that
would
New
answer
Testament.
So many questions.
But they don't. See, that's the problem, is a lot of preachers. Thank God I have a really hardcore fundamental Baptist pastor I listen to, right? That's got a little crazy, but like, his doctrine is sound. His doctrine is on point. I'm telling you this. I know this, my Bible. I know the New Testament, because I had a preacher that was like, dude, if you're not reading it, like, no wonder you can't defend yourself. No wonder you don't know anything. And it's easy for your faith to be shaken if you're not rooted in the word. It has to come from here. And I've told people this, like, when people say, I feel like God is saying this, and I feel like God means, don't go off of what you think he means. Why would you go off of the meaning when it says so explicitly? That's the beautiful thing, is that God is not the author of confusion. It says so clear as day. It's like, if you want the answers, they're written right there. And you're even telling me, like,
very simple.
It's very simple. And the thing is, because people get caught up with the whole, well, the Bible's not meant to be taken literally. As a matter of fact, it's a pretty literal book. And the people that say you don't take it literally.
Why wouldn't you take it literally?
Because it allows you to excuse yourself for certain behaviors that are not good in the eyes of God. Like, for example, I'll give you a perfect example, right? Virginity, sexual immorality is an ambiguous thing in the Bible. That's the biggest things that Christians like to justify is, sexual immorality could just mean, like, I remember the patriarchs, like Abraham had like 10 wives and David had 10 wives, and it's like, it's okay to sleep around. And that's the problem, is people are like, well, I think when God says this, it must mean this. And the problem with that is when people say, well, I think what it means is why we have a lot of what we talked about, these preachers like talking about all kinds of stuff and not reading from the real word. Because here's the thing, if you see it show up in the Bible once, you can find that same thing reworded similarly, explicitly, in 5 or 6 different places. That's why when I say to you, like, you can look in Romans or you can look in Ephesians, they say the same stuff. And that's why when people preach the Bible thoroughly, you'll see that they don't just refer to one verse. They'll refer to 5 or 6 other books, Old Testament and New, that say the same thing. And that's how you know God's trying to be crystal clear, because his goal is not to confuse you. The Bible, like, people think,
is too.
It's confusing if you don't have the Spirit. It's confusing if you don't have Christ. But remember what happened to you when it's like, once you accepted Christ and you looked at it, didn't it just make sense all of a sudden?
No, not just that, but your whole life makes sense.
Exactly.
All of your past makes sense. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, that was
That's
easy.
that's that's what I'm trying to say is why. Like, here's the thing. Why would God make a book that was so complicated that only people who went to theology school could understand? As a matter of fact, the people that go to theology school are trying to make themselves smarter than everybody else by saying, well, I know Greek, I know Aramaic, so I know the Bible better than you do. You don't need that. Okay? Like the thing is, it's the true preserved word. Why would God keep it hidden? Or why would God only reserve it for the smartest of people? That's not the case. It even says so clear as day, anybody, even children, can read this and understand it. You know why? Because it's crystal clear. The problem is because people don't read it. Just like the case laws we talk about with civil rights and everything, it's the same thing. People don't read it for what it is. It's just like, well, I'm not sure where it says. Okay, then let's go take a look. And I'm telling you right now, you will find the answers you're looking for if you even just picked it up and read it. I'm serious, because people are too often or go, well, it doesn't say that, so it must be okay. And that's the problem, is because you didn't even look.
No, but it's interesting because, oh my God, this is so weird. But okay, so Lady Hawk, the listener, that thing she sent you was actually very interesting. There was a couple who were Christians. They didn't have sex before marriage and all this other stuff, right? And they couldn't have children. So she went to her pastor, and her pastor kept telling her, hey, you got, pray on it, and pray, and you'll have a baby. But that's flawed. And that's the problem. Everybody is praying the wrong way, or they want something. You know what I mean? Like, instead of just accepting, hey, look, you can't have kids, it's just how it works. Like, maybe you could adopt, or maybe you could work with children. There's other things you can do. You know what I mean? Like, don't hate God, or you know what I mean? Like, don't look to prayer to get a baby. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then
it's freeloading. It's like asking God.
See, but that's just what but but that's what people think. Like, okay, so another one would be this. Don Rickles is a very, very funny but in your face type of comedian. He was roasting Ronald Reagan, right? And he was funny. He was like, hey, Secretary Stoltz, am I going too fast for you? Am I going too fast? Or I need to slow down for you? Because, talking about his mental state. And then he goes to Billy Graham, right? I don't know if you know who Billy Graham is, but Billy Graham was one of the most, very famous mega church style, like one of the first mega church pastors. And he goes to Billy Graham, and he goes, oh, Billy Graham's in the audience. My hand hurts. Can you do me something? Can you do something for it? He goes, my wrist. I got a pain in my wrist. Can you do something? You know what I mean? Just making a comment about that, because that kind of stuff is wrong. Like, like, you shouldn't be asking for healing or anything else like that. You know what I mean? Like,
well, you can pray for healing, but it's kind of just like, I always think of it as like, well, what are you doing about it too? You know what I mean? Like, what is God calling you to do as a result of that? See, when you told me that thing yesterday about finding the counselor or whatnot, it was because it was a thing that you were I really believe that that's how God meant it to be. That's what you were desiring, but you had to put in the work. There had to be forward momentum into it. The problem is, at the end of the day, God can't steer a parked car. It's just like, if you're not in motion and you're not giving value or blessing other people, and you're always thinking about me, well, that's carnal and that's selfish in itself, because it's all about what you want, right? Maybe that's not what God has in store. Maybe that's not for you. And that's a hard thing to accept for people, is that the goal should be fixation on Christ, not on what you want. And the funny thing is, when you do that, it just kind of that's why there's an amazing verse about seeking God's kingdom first, and then everything gets added on you. Because if that was all that you needed to feel content with life and enough, everything else that comes in is just an added bonus. But it's not going to make or break you. But when you make children the cornerstone of your faith, and if you don't get it, you satisfying yourself for somebody else. You see what I mean? Like, it's not like, and a lot of people will do that. They think of faith and God as a transactional thing. It's kind of like, I'm only going to go to church to find a good wife. It's like, come on, man. Like, we talk.
But the thing is, I'm telling you now, I could never pray for myself. I have to, not that you pray, like, I don't know, like prayers, like for me, it's like not just meditation, but it's showing my appreciation for God. You know what I mean? Like, because I really do appreciate like almost everything now. It's insane. Even though like we're living in where we live in San Francisco, it sucks. But I still
that's an understatement.
It. Yeah. No, because there's like this big ass Christian church that's almost always empty in San Francisco where I park my car. It's always getting robbed. I hate it. But but like I'm thinking, it's like, there is no reason why Christianity couldn't take hold in San Francisco.
Absolutely no reason. I agree with that 100%.
No reason at all. But, whatever. But I think as long as people believe in that, whatever you said about transactions and works-based faith, it'll never happen. Because so much bad happens in San Francisco that nobody would ever believe in Christianity. Think about it. A couple of gay dudes, they get AIDS. They're going to blame God. Why did you give me AIDS? Seriously, that's what people think, though. Why did you not give me a baby? Why did you give me AIDS? Why did you make me lose this football game? Why did the Warriors lose to the Lakers? That had nothing to do with God. Seriously. But that's I honestly learned that way back as a kid. But I never really applied it to my life because I'm thinking if there's no reward base, what's the purpose? Seriously, I never understood why they prayed for others or just for the glory of God. I never understood it until just recently. That's my point.
Well, it's because now you know the truth and you know what Christ does and here's the thing, it's hard for me to even say that, right, without like giving you the gospel first, giving you what Christ did for you and all of us. Because here's the thing, all of that stuff doesn't make a lot of sense unless you have Christ. It really doesn't. It's hard to like, if I were to think of this in secular terms, like, it makes no sense, man. And I would reasonably, as a flawed human being, blame God, blame whatnot for things that don't happen. And unfortunately, that's how a lot of people are, because we're selfish. So that aspect of why didn't God do this for me? You think God is an ATM machine, and I hate this because this kind of leads into prosperity gospel where people, it's just
No. But here's the thing. Here's where people think I would be called a hypocrite. I honestly believe if you are a true Christian, you're going to be hella rich. And I mean hella wealthy. Because why? That lifestyle that is taught through Christianity helps you focus on becoming super successful in no matter what you do. It doesn't guarantee you to be the best, but you will be extremely successful.
Right.
And whether it's, in every aspect of your life, despite medical flaws, even if you're a blind man, if if you're deaf, it'll still work for you. You don't need, and this is why I wouldn't pray for health, because it doesn't matter. You could be in a wheelchair, never get healed, and still be prosperous. Yeah. Still have a good wife. Still have, I don't know if you can have kids if your thing don't work. But you know what I mean? Well, yeah, you could adopt. That's the point. There's a lot of things you can do, even disabled, even mentally ill. And that's why it's like, So there is no real point to pray for better health, because why? Because you're already given everything.
Right.
You just don't know it when you're not a Christian,
Right.
or understand, because you could be a Christian and still not understand, how to love yourself and how to love others and that God. But here's the thing for atheists. I don't want to go off into too much of a tangent, but here's the thing. What makes no sense to most people, well, atheists, I should say. God has the power to destroy everything. So why wouldn't he use that power to control us? Seriously, if he could destroy the planet and the universe with a snap of the fingers, why won't he destroy us or control our lives, control our destinies?
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't because he loves us. That's why. Just like, as a parent, did your dad try to control you 24/7, or did he limit his control over you so you can grow up to be who you are? You know what I mean?
Got it. You got it.
And that's how atheists don't understand that.
And here's the thing about the last thing I'll say about faith and works, right? Here's the thing. How do you become part of the family? How do you become one of God's children, right? Or saved, as they say? You're born into it. The term born again comes from being part of the family, right? Which means if you accept Christ, you're part of the family, which means you won't perish. You'll have eternal life. But here's also another thing I want to say. Just like a father-child relationship, if you moved all the way to the ends of the earth and you never spoke to your father, you never did things for him or anything, does that not make him your father?
Yep.
Consequently, if you did all these good things for your father and was proud of everything, does that make him your father or any less of your father? No. It's the same deal. So it's like a family where it's like no matter how bad you go or how far, once saved, always saved. And I want to leave.
You know what's funny?
Yeah.
Does that mean your father doesn't love you if he's never been a part of your life? I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
A lot of kids don't understand that. They hate their dads. Oh, my dad was locked up in prison, or my dad was a deadbeat. Yeah, but just because he's a deadbeat doesn't mean he didn't love you. He didn't know how to love you because he's a deadbeat. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, there's reasons why people are deadbeats. There's reason why a lot of things happen. And mostly it's because people are in bad spaces. People are, there's a million excuses. Why did this woman kill that man? Amber, why did she kill him? Why did she kill him? I honestly believe she is suffering from some form of PTSD. Shouldn't have been a cop. That's a real thing. Most police officers do suffer from PTSD. Mm-hmm. And we have to somehow, some way do a better job helping our cops get better. Yeah. And it's a real thing. And until we start addressing, the requirements and mental health of cops and what they go through. Because I don't care what anybody says. When you beat somebody up and that messes with your head. And if you kill somebody, make somebody bleed, yeah, it ain't a good feeling. Yeah, it's a good feeling, like when you're doing it, like it's a rush. But afterwards, you're like, fuck, dude, I'm like a monkey. You know what I mean? It's like, shit, no wonder why they think we're gorillas. No, but it's the truth. Like, why? But if it messes with your head, I don't know. But it's the truth. Most people, on the streets or when they're dealing with blacks, they go, man, that's fucking gorilla. You know what I mean? And then when you do it, it's like, man, no wonder why these guys think I'm a gorilla, because, I just beat the crap out of somebody and it wasn't even close. I didn't stop or whatever. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So we got to really look at the mental state of what these cops really go through. What do these cops really go through? Look, but me personally, I think something happened on a personal level. It would be interesting to know if these people were dating or something, and maybe she was jealous or something. But whatever it was, it's irrelevant. She has to be, I think the judge, like, seriously, that judge shocked me when she did the hugging and gave her the Bible and was going with her through the Bible passages and telling her, you know what I mean? that was pretty awesome, dude. Like that was, that's like, I'm like, that you want to be like that. You know, like I don't know, but she would be the same age. She looked like she was in her 70s. You know what I mean? She looked older.
Yeah.
Like my Christian parents, like older Black people. But yeah, I don't know, but that's powerful, man. You know what I mean?
It really is.
It just kind of reminded me of like the slavery days. You know what I mean? Like that's how they used to be. Like they didn't care.
And that's
like,
why they were so successful. Because
right after slavery ended, they were successful because they never turned away from Christ. Never.
And that, I think that is the solution, because we have all the historical evidence to back it up. Really, because you don't have to even look at, oh, well, what were the laws or what were white people doing? Just look at the track record. Look at what humans built when they were focused on God. Look at what Michelangelo, even though he was Catholic, look at what Michelangelo was able to accomplish, and Da Vinci and some of these great, you'll find that they were all men of faith to some degree. It was just like, dude, you know, they weren't wasting their time with other things. Or like, I bet you even if like somebody burned down Da Vinci's like morgue of bodies he was using to examine, he probably wouldn't care. He'd probably just go to the next one and find another one. You know, that's the attitude.
The Catholics were against him, just like Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa had to fight with the Pope because the Pope was against her. Initially, she didn't listen.
people were wondering, like when they say, well, Catholicism was the main Christianity all through the ages, so where were the Christians? It's like, guys, as many Catholics as you think existed, there were as many Baptist Christians, you know, who were getting killed. The people who were getting killed, people think were like Jews and Muslims during like the Crusades and whatnot. Nah, it was Bible believing Baptists that were getting killed.
Yeah, no, but you know, like, I honestly believe too that a lot of these people were just like, you know what? I want to live. I'll still believe in Jesus the way I know to believe in Jesus based on the Bible. And you guys go ahead and do Hail Marys.
Yeah.
I don't want to die. I'm not going to judge you. I'll just stay in the morgue, start drawing pictures.
You know what? That's an incredible thought, because that's how we'll never really know. But I think like Michelangelo and Da Vinci and all that, I mean, that's divine inspiration right there. That's like keeping your faith, you know, and
yeah,
the amazing things that you accomplish when you're not like carnally minded. It's just, yeah, it's amazing, right? And I don't know, like I think that was good. Do you have any final thoughts? Because that's a good way to, I mean, that's like, what an incredible act of kindness. And
yeah, no, but I'm telling you, but that's how it's done. She was that judge and the brother. You know, like I hope they maintain their strength, because I know the pressure is going to be great on them.
These Black Lives Matter need to mind their own business.
But see, Texas is turning blue. I'm telling you now, Texas is really turning blue. And how does this start? You start taking away Jesus. Once you take away Jesus, it's downhill from there. They took it away from our schools, from our churches, from our, you know, communities. It's not that everybody loves these mega churches that are all work-based type of religions. Look at us and our fancy Ferraris because God's blessed me. No, you actually worked hard on it. God didn't even care. You know what I mean? Like God doesn't care if you drive a Ferrari or not. It's just what you want. You know, you love yourself, you love your neighbors, you know, you understand the carnal mind, and you were ethical in your business, where hope, and you know what I mean? And therefore you're successful. And that's how it works. So, but either way, yeah, this was, I just want to thank that Lady Hawk.
Yeah, thank you for coming and stuff, guys. If you have further things you guys want us to cover, let us know and we'll talk further about it. But hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your days. Happy 100th episode, because that's pretty awesome.
Dude, that is awesome. Wow, 100. God, I can't believe it.
100, gee.
Dude, do you know, like that one lawyer we were talking about yesterday? That guy only has 77 episodes, and he's been doing it for 2 years.
Who?
Yeah, some lawyer. Like, remember I was telling you about we went to LA?
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Yeah, but no, good stuff, man. We'll talk soon.
All right.